Okay. All right. 7 o'clock. We'll get started. First off, thanks to everybody from coming out. It's Friday night. I'm sure we got better things to do, but I don't know. Maybe we don't. This is important stuff. So I'm streaming this live on Facebook. This is on the Structure Tech Facebook page. Anybody can come here and listen in on this, and I'm going to save it, and I'm going to have it on our public page for anybody to look at. I will have an unbranded version of this, so if anybody else wants to share it with their clients, agents, whoever, I think it's good for us to all be on the same page, and that's the whole purpose of having this meeting. I had thrown it out there ahead of time for anybody to share any questions or concerns that they had. If you want to email, and you know what, I'm just going to go in here and I'm going to do mute all. You guys do have the ability to unmute yourselves, but basically, unless you got something to say, please keep yourself muted. So you're all muted again. I lost my train of thought. At any rate, here's the number one question I think everybody is facing right now is, should we continue working? We got the governor's order on Wednesday saying everybody who's not essential or whatever needs to close up shop. You can't work anymore. But and by the way, if someone could just nod. Can you see my screen where it says, should we keep working? Is that displayed? Okay, good. I'm sure you guys have all seen this. I just want to discuss it for a minute. It says among the list of exempted critical sectors is real estate transactions. It's limited to workers who facilitate and finance real estate transactions and real estate services, including appraisers and title services. They don't mention home inspectors in here. My interpretation of this is we are a worker who facilitates real estate service transactions and perform real estate services. I don't know about you all, but maybe 95% of my company's business has to do with real estate. We still do other stuff that's not real estate related. We have completely cut that off. If it's a single item inspection, if it's a townhome maintenance inspection, a homeowner maintenance inspection, anything like that, we're not doing it anymore. We're only doing the stuff that's related to real estate. And I want to share this. It was a video put out by Chris. I can't read the rest of his name. This guy is the president of the Minnesota Realtors Association. And he even commented on home inspectors in this video. I'll show a quick little clip. Steve, I think I got you to thank for sharing this video with me. Yeah, thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Pertinent info. I'll just play like 30 seconds of this. Boy, we're doing a lot of stream of video here. I hope this works.
Welcome. Inspections are considered an essential business service. This category is limited to workers who facilitate and finance real estate transactions and real estate services, including appraisers and title services. Elsewhere in the order, it also allows for movers to be employed during this period. We are not sure on home inspectors yet. It's a 21-page document. We're reading through it. We'll have to ask some questions.
So that's that. We're not sure on home inspectors yet, and that's where it remains today. Nobody has an official word saying home inspectors can or can't do it right now. My interpretation of this, the way I see it, there's only one way to see this. If the intention is to allow real estate transactions to go forward, and that's an exempted critical sector, real estate transactions, if the intention is to allow this to go forward, they have to allow home inspections. We know that home inspections take place in the vast majority of home purchases for real estate. So if the intention was to not allow home inspections, how could this even work? So in my mind, this isn't even a question to ask. Of course we're allowed to work. And that is my interpretation of it. I'm still going to be working. My inspectors are still going to be working unless I get clear information saying you can't work. So that's my stance on it. Jeff, I can see your face. Vicki, I see you're on, but I don't see your face yet. So Jeff, calling you first. What is your interpretation of this?
Can you hear me okay there now?
Yep.
Okay. I'm right on board with you, and I have been. My take on it is that while the appraiser protects the lender for their financial interest in it, we are the people that protect the buyers in most transactions. And so I think we're a very critical part of that whole transaction sequence. And so for me, I agree with you. There was no question. I also was privy to an email from Edina Realty and talking with some of their managers, and they kind of agreed that we were similar to appraisers. And while we weren't called out specifically, you really can't move forward with a prudent real estate transaction without having an inspection done on the property you're going to purchase. So I'm on board with you. That's the way I'm interpreting it. Now, and I know every company is working with different. What I've done is I've left it up to my individual inspectors. While we're still open as a company, my office staff, as we're working remotely, I'm allowing the inspectors or evaluators to make that determination whether or not they are comfortable. And we can discuss a little more about the parameters of which we're putting in place to try to safeguard that inspector as well as the occupants of the home.
Excellent. Thank you, Jeff. Oh, by the way, I didn't introduce you. Jeff Blixt, owner of Inspector Homes. There, you get a post introduction. All right. And Vicki, I'd like to hear from you as well. Next, we've got Vicki Hepner with Heartland Inspections.
Well, without a doubt, we're an integral part of almost every real estate transaction in the state. And we've been in touch with over 150 of our agents over the past 4 or 5 days, and everybody's on the same page. So I think it's a matter of this is going to shake itself out in the next 2 to 3 days, business days. And I think that the best that we can do is continue to be the proverbial bull in the china shop and keep working, and also encourage our agents, if they haven't done it already, to ask their brokers to step up and acknowledge inspections as essential, as well as doing it through the state association, the local realty boards, and also through inspector forums. What's the one that the state association has? The casserole, hot dish thing. I know I was close. It was wild rice or something.
It's Minnesotan anyway.
Yeah. And I think there's every opportunity. I think frankly, it was oversight, and I think it's going to self-correct over the next 4 to 5 days.
Yep. I completely agree with you both.
You know, we're in totally unprecedented times. None of us have ever been here before. We've never dealt with anything like this. So I agree. I think as we've talked throughout the week, this thing is continually evolving, and we're constantly reevaluating it and instituting or making changes to our protocol and how we go about doing these inspections and who we allow to be there.
Yep.
Ruben, I just wanted to thank you for putting this together. I think all of us that are on the call, whether we're inspectors who work for a company or inspectors that are a solo operation on our own, all of us have our businesses to manage and maintain and move forward, and unifying in terms of what we're doing both professionally and personally is really helpful. So thanks for doing this.
Absolutely, Ruben.
Yeah.
I might have something that I can offer to all.
Who is this?
This is Mitch. Vicki, I know you with Mahi.
Oh, hi. Mitch.
But I was on a call this week with NACA, and they said that we are considered essential because you're in a chain of a banking transaction, because you've made a purchase agreement based on having an inspection.
Okay.
So therefore, they consider us essential.
In California, anybody that's under a contractual agreement, including inspectors, same thing.
Well, and didn't we hear Chris Galler say earlier today that they're right now in process somewhere close to 10,000 transactions that are somewhere between being inked and being closed? So that's a lot of movement.
Yep.
We are absolutely needed out there.
Yep. So, well, that's our interpretation of it. I'm going to go back to the other screen I had here. I mean, it's pretty clear that if home inspections go away, real estate comes to a screeching halt. I mean, that there's no doubt about it. And I firmly believe that that's not the intent of this order. Even if it's not put in the right category and NACA says, well, by the letter of this code, I don't believe that that's the intention of it. So that's my 2 cents. I had somebody talk to me, I don't remember when, maybe yesterday, maybe today. Somebody was concerned about insurance. They said, well, if it turns out that you're wrong and you really shouldn't have been inspecting, your insurance carrier won't cover you. And that didn't ring true to me. And I said, I don't believe it. I'm not even going to bother calling my insurance carrier. But pardon my dog, sorry. I said, I'm not even going to call my insurance carrier. But then in anticipation of this call, I thought, I'm going to call them anyway. I did. My insurance carrier is Inspector Pro. I talked to them about this and they said, we will absolutely cover you. Whether the state says you're under lockdown or whatever this is, it's not going to have any effect on your insurance coverage. So good stuff there.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know that anywhere in my policy it calls out a pandemic.
Yeah. Yeah, mine doesn't either.
So,
So the next thing would be P&P. And I'll just share what we're doing at my company. I suspect we're all going to be doing the exact same thing. But for anybody who hasn't given it any thought, that's what this meeting is for. Just cover this quickly. When we're going into houses, I think most of my inspectors are using gloves now. I kind of gave them the option. I said, if you've got access to several boxes of disposable gloves, go ahead and glove up. Use gloves for the whole inspection. Use the right protocol as you take them off. Don't cross-contaminate the gloves. Leave the house with the gloves. Change gloves frequently as you need to, so you're not wearing one pair for 3 hours. You can use gloves as a safety measure. Wash your hands a lot. Use hand sanitizer if you have it available. If the seller asks us to, we will wear a mask during our inspection. That has happened a few times, and it's not comfortable wearing a mask the whole time, but we'll do it. We use sanitary wipes or disinfectant spray and paper towels. We bring those into houses, and everything we touch, we're wiping down. Faucets, door handles, cabinet knobs, whatever we touch, we're following up by wiping it down. And either we're wiping it before we leave the room. I've got other inspectors who said they do it as a pre-closing walkthrough. They spend another 15 minutes, whatever it is, going through the entire house, wiping down everything that they touched, just so they can do it all at once. And then they can also remember to shut all the lights off and do everything all at the very end of the inspection. I don't care which way they're doing it, as long as everything they touch gets wiped down. And then we're not leaving anything behind anymore. We used to leave, the inspector's business card, a little tent thing on the table saying, thanks for letting us inspect your home. We're not leaving anything anymore. We're afraid nobody wants to touch anything that we touched. So temporarily, we're not doing it. Earlier this week, we said no more buyers at the inspection. I've always been a huge proponent for having home buyers attend our home inspection. We invite them there for the entire inspection, and we said no more. We put that to an end earlier this week, or maybe it was on the weekend. I don't remember when. And as of this afternoon, we're no longer allowing sellers to be home either. So we're at the point now where nobody's at the inspection. And that, I think this is where it really needs to be. If we're gonna follow the intent of the COVID-19 safety protocol, it's supposed to be nobody there. So now we're sending out an email and a text message to all parties involved. And, I don't know if you guys have this issue, but for us, when we send out emails to the listing agent saying, hey, can you make sure that this is done and that's done and blah, 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 I think people open it like 1% of the time.
no one reads them.
Well, yeah, and even that 1%, even if they open it, I don't think they read it. So these don't get read. To help with that, we're sending out a text message, and we're asking the listing agent to reply to that text saying, yes, I got your email, and yes, we will comply with this stuff, and the seller will not be there. And if we don't get that text reply, we're following up with phone calls, and we're making sure that they got the message the seller can't be there. So that's what we're doing here at Structure Tech. We'll go back to you, Vicki. I'd like to hear what you're doing now.
Yeah, we put the no attendance policy in place 2 days ago, and anyone's welcome to go look at it. We have it on our homepage on our website. We're doing things slightly differently. We're encouraging, yes, we're texting and we're emailing listing agents, buyer's agents, and clients. We've given the inspector the latitude. If he gets out to the job site and a seller is there unexpectedly, our protocol is that they'll tell them in a calm, professional way that unfortunately we're not able to come into the home to complete the inspection. I'm going to check with the buyer's agent, and you can decide how you want. Would you get her, please? How you want to proceed. Otherwise, if the inspector is comfortable proceeding with a single seller in the house, we're going ahead to do that. We're doing the same thing with the buyer's agents and the buyers. If they show up at the start of the inspection unexpectedly, or they come midway, the inspectors have their protocol that they're going to let them know that they need to stop the inspection, and they're going to give the person the option to leave or reschedule the appointment. And we've also scripted our people that are on the phone so that they're comfortable doing that, because I have nothing but respect for the people that are answering our phones, and they're on our front line in a different way than our field personnel are. And they can do such a great job of reassuring people and setting the tone for the whole inspection process. So that's the approach we've taken. We're doing gloves in the property, obviously hand sanitizer if gloves need to be taken off. We're asking sellers to sanitize the home before and after the inspection, and we're also asking them to leave all doors open, cabinet doors, and leave lights on, and we'll leave the doors and lights on when we leave. It kind of sounds like Tom Bodette at Motel 6, doesn't it? And we're also taking special care that, and kind of the wild card in all of this is if it's a if it's a duplex, triplex, or fourplex, renters have to be out of the property during the inspection as well. Jeff.
Okay, am I unmuted now? No.
Yeah, I can hear you. Jeff, are we still waiting? Ruben, can you hear Jeff?
All right. I think
There we go.
Ruben, you and I are going back and forth and muting and unmuting at the same time. I don't know. All right, good. We're doing essentially the same thing. We started doing this early on, the gloves, of course, hand washing, the masks. They've got respirators they can wear if they want, or dust mask. We're doing the same sanitizer thing with spray and paper towels. I have not talked to them about not leaving cards behind, so that's a good, I think that's a good tip. Initially, we started out by saying we were going to limit the inspections to the buyer and their agent. And we put emails out, much like you did, Ruben, requesting that. And I think one of the first days we had carpet layers and family members that had just flown in from California. And we just said, that's it, we're done. Going forward, we're not going to have any agents or any buyers with us. The inspector is going to be on the property by themselves. We prefer the seller leave, just as you suggested. We haven't enforced that. We've asked them that if they cannot leave, whether they're a physical disability, whatever it might be, we'll work with them and hopefully keep them in a different part of the house as the inspector moves through with his inspection. Going forward, I am going to adopt what Vicki has been doing, and I think, Ruben, you just made this change this afternoon as well. Thinking more about, we're just going to say we're not going to have anybody at the inspection. We're happy to review it with you via phone, over the computer, whatever you want to do. But I think in order to keep not only the inspectors safe, but the clients as well, I think at this point in time, that's where we're going to go.
Excellent. Thank you both. And you know what, Jeff, you brought up a good point. One thing I did tell our client care coordinators is if you do get some serious pushback on a seller being home, like you got some extenuating circumstances, you got someone who's, they can't leave for some reason or another, fine, no big deal. You can still do the inspection, but we're gonna have to have a conversation with them ahead of time and say, look, they gotta stay in their room and don't come out or something like that.
Ruben?
Hearing something going off. Are you guys hearing a phone going off? I can't figure out where it's coming from. All right. Yes, Vicky.
We've had a couple of one-off situations happen the past couple of days. We had a situation where of course the listing agent didn't acknowledge the email or the text. However, a couple hours before the inspection, they sent us a legal document that the seller had created for anybody entering the house, that it was like an affidavit that we had to agree to. And what we're starting to see is that tier of anxiety starting to build among sellers, and understandably, but it's a reminder to all of us that everybody is at a different place on the spectrum as far as this issue. We were comfortable signing it because it required us to do everything we were already doing.
Sure.
But we just don't know what we're walking into, and I don't expect our inspectors to be medical police.
Yeah.
We had a situation this week where a couple inspectors were really uncomfortable because they could hear the sellers did stay in a separate room, but they could hear the sellers coughing and sneezing the whole time. And then we went into another property and the sellers had left, but there was Coricidin and all sorts of cold medication on the kitchen counter.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and you know what? That reminds me, that's something else that we're adding. I was in the middle of crafting this email like a few minutes ago, and we're going to be adding that to our email about the sellers saying, if anybody is sick, we will not come to the home. Please let us know if there's any sick people, and we will cancel our inspection. And
I forgot to mention that. That's part of our protocols. If anyone's sick, inspection is off.
Yep. The next thing,
Ruben, one other thing is that our questionnaire for the person at the house, make sure they haven't been traveling. This was early on, 2 weeks ago. Make sure that they weren't moving, or have anybody in the property been out of the country recently, or they're ill. And we may be deemed essential to the transaction, but we're not expendable. And some of the realtors are thinking, hey, give them a call. They'll do anything they want. We're not on board with that at all.
yeah. Thank you, Scott. Appreciate it. I think the one question that somebody had submitted earlier, Jeff, you asked me, did anybody pipe in with any questions? And I said, yeah, I got one. The one question that I was asked was have you seen any cancellations, an effect on your business? And I think when I checked, we had 4 cancellations come this week. I think they all came basically yesterday after the governor's order. People said, we don't want you doing the inspection anymore. We're not buying a house, or the seller doesn't want anybody in there. So we've seen 4 cancellations. This graph here just shows kind of how this has affected our business at Structure Tech. It's the orange is what we average for inspections, and the blue is what we've been booking. You can see that, and this is the year-long average. So you can see that in March, of course, we're busier than the average. But then you come down to where we are today. Yesterday, we scheduled less inspections than we do on average throughout the year. So we've definitely seen a drop at Structure Tech. How about you, Jeff?
Yeah, I think so. But then again, also, as I mentioned earlier, I have some inspectors that have elected to not do inspections anymore for the time being, for personal reasons or whatever it might be. And so we're kind of a limited staff, but yeah, we've definitely seen a little bit of a downturn in the business. So, and I kind of expect that, and I think you're going to see that going forward, depending how long this thing takes to flatten out.
unmute myself. Vicky, how about you?
Yeah, we're seeing the same thing. We were down about 20% today in phone calls and actual bookings. And we're also down. We have 6 full-time inspectors and we're down 2 right now. So 4 are active in the field. So it's kind of averaging out to our capacity right now.
Okay.
But I'm hoping for the best and planning for the worst. I think we're in this for 2 to 3 months and we're going to take it week by week. But the biggest thing that we're focusing on right now is supporting employees, and it's been a pivot and a learning curve for me the last 5 days in particular, and also communicating with agents and finding out how we can do what we need to be doing in-house, but supporting agents who have supported us over the years too.
Yep. Let's see. I'm going to read through the comments here real quick. I have someone who says aerosols are said to remain in the air for 3 hours, so we'd ask sellers to leave for 3 hours before the inspection. I think that would be really, really difficult. Personally, I'm not going to be doing that. I think that'd be onerous. That's me personally. Vicky, Jeff, you guys want to?
I would agree. I think it's reasonable to ask them to leave for, 2.5, 3.5 hour period while we conduct the inspection. But in this day and age, and what we're dealing with right now with a lockdown, where do you go for that length of period of time? So we probably will not be doing that.
I agree. I don't have anything more to say on it. It would be really difficult to enforce, even if we embrace the spirit of it.
Yep. And let's see, there was, what else do we have? A modification to the real estate purchase agreement in Minnesota that requires an extension of the time frame for every COVID-related issues. And yes, there is that. It's basically, it's a 1-page deal. It's got about half a page of text. And it just kind of says, if we can't figure this stuff out because this is all unprecedented, we may extend the timeline. I don't think it's going to really affect what we do all that much, but it is out there. I read through it, and there's not a whole lot that I think will deal with what we did. Let's see. Someone else had emailed me saying I had an email exchange with somebody about this, and he had received a response from I believe it was the Realtors Association, saying that they can't tell us that home inspections are authorized, or it may have been somebody from the state. I don't remember. And it was essentially what we said at the beginning, that we don't have anybody committing to saying that home inspections can operate. That's a comment that was thrown on here. Is that time frame include contingencies? Is a question from Monique. Monique, I'm not sure what your question is. I'm sorry. Maybe you're replying to somebody else. Oh, you're replying to Steve. Sorry. Never mind. Forget I addressed that. And I think that's it. That's all we had in the questions. And I want to open it up if anybody has anything else they'd like to throw out there. Any comments, questions, whatever.
Say, Ruben.
Yep.
This is Brett Cook. It's my understanding that the National Association of Realtors has, I don't know if they've imposed, but they've said that they do not want open houses done and that they should be all done virtually, implying that they should not have people in the house. So if we're saying that we're only trying to comply with the realtor standards, that seems totally in line. That you're already saying you don't want people in the house, but we don't either. So I don't think this is inconsistent with the realtors themselves.
Yep. Agreed.
And I agree that we walk into these houses with kind of a 3-way thing going on here. You've got us who might bring contamination to the house. We might be walking into a contaminated house, or we might be bringing the the buyer in who can contaminate both us and the house. So the no-show policy, I think, totally makes sense for anybody at this point, in as much as that it is consistent with what the realtors are saying. Don't come. So.
Thank you, Brett. All right, Jeff, Vicky, any other thoughts from either of you before?
Yeah, I do have one. For anybody on the call that has W-2'd employees on their team, if you're not aware of it, I'm going to be communicating with our group once I retool and understand this better. But we are all obligated to comply with the first, it's called FFCRA, the Families First Coronavirus Response Act, which means that if an employee is off the schedule because the employee or a member of their family has been affected by the virus, or their childcare resources are unavailable and they need to be home because they have no other options, certain employers do have an obligation to provide 2 weeks of pay.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the record that's supposed to be sent out to all of our employees electronically or posted. And if anybody wants a copy of that, I'd be happy to send it to them. Just email me.
Sure. Yep.
I would like a copy of that, Vicki.
I just emailed it to you, Jeff.
Okay, you're way ahead of me. A lot of people are though. So I just want to say, I think that, as we've gotten into this is, as we've said, totally unprecedented. There's no way to know where we're going or really how to deal with it, other than to deal with it on a daily basis as this thing evolves. And that's what we're trying to do. And are we going to be doing inspections on Monday? Right now, I would say yes, we are. Might that change Monday morning, Sunday afternoon, tomorrow afternoon? I don't know. As you've seen, what's happened is we've progressed just this week, where we've gone from limiting the number of people that show up to not having anyone show up, to now we're going to ask the seller that they need to be gone as well. You can see where this is progressing. And so I expect it to continue to move forward. And I hope we can all stay in business and keep providing that service. But among everything else, your health is the most important thing out there. And you got to take care of yourself. So that would be the only thing I have in closing, is just be safe and, pay attention to what's going on around you and what is happening with other inspectors and how they're dealing with it.
Yep.
I guess I would echo that. If there's anybody on the call that needs help or is uncertain about, not just the physical and health safety part of their program, but how to manage their business, I know any of us would be willing to take a call or an email and talk to somebody through that.
And and you know what? There's one last comment on here. This is from Ken Rowe. Ken was asking. He was hoping I would mention this exchange that he and I had. I think, Ken, you may have gotten on the call afterward. We did address where we're at with the state and how there is no official word. I understand you got an email from the St. Paul Area Association of Realtors stating home inspectors are not essential workers. And basically, it just says that we weren't called out in that email. It's not saying we can't operate. It's simply saying that we don't have confirmation that we can. So you and I are definitely reading this differently. I know your interpretation of this is that we shouldn't operate, but that's not my interpretation. And well, I guess Vicki and Jeff, we discussed this earlier in the call. I think we're on a different page.
Yeah, and I don't know how you have a complete real estate transaction in today's world without having a home inspection. It's just become an integral part of it. And if it wasn't an important part of the transaction, we wouldn't all be working in that industry.
Yep. Yep, exactly. So thank you for bringing that up, Ken.
I have one question.
Yes.
I'm just wondering if you've discussed any sort of protocol if an employee becomes ill with the limited testing. So if you get an employee that has flu-like symptoms in terms of notification of homes that employee was in, or how to follow up with that.
That's a good question.
You're saying, like, let's say tomorrow one of our inspectors started showing symptoms.
Yeah, flu-like symptoms.
should we go back and start notifying all of the homes that they've been in for the past X number of days?
Correct.
Yeah, we don't have any policy in place for that. That has not happened with us.
Okay.
No.
Oh, good. There's something else to think about this weekend.
Exactly.
No, I think that's a very valid point. So I don't know how we'll deal with that. I'm hoping that nobody gets sick. Part of my concern with this whole thing is you can be carrying the virus on you and passing it off to everyone else and not showing any symptoms. So, you know, where do you draw the line? You know,
Yep,
it's hard to know. And that's why I say it's got to go back to a personal choice.
yep, exactly. All right, well, I think that's it. I'm going to end this live Facebook stream.
One last thing, if I could, Ruben. The Minneapolis Tish non-permanent rechecks, where did everybody pick up that email or open that email where Kathy's saying they're gonna let pictures and videos go through?
Yep,
And I've pissed off a lot of realtors in the past. Say, no, we'll send you a picture of that backflow preventer. I said, nope, I gotta look at it. You gotta give me my, recheck fee. Not for that, just I'm not gonna. And I think there's a lot of guys out there that have, because I've re-inspected houses that there's still that thing that's still open. It was on the previous Tish and it was signed off on. But I think it's a little bit of a slippery slope, but it's unique to these times. And the realtors cannot expect that to happen in the future. They got to make sure that that's hammered into them, that this is this time only, for this event only.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'd be comfortable doing that with a photo, but I guess it would depend on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah, they said they'd accepted it. And they said, if you're going to do a video, front of the house, make sure it's the right house and stuff like that.
Yep.
And then I'd certainly somehow document it, saying, like when we sign off on it, probably, I don't know where that information goes, where you can sign off on things and you can put a little comment on there. I don't know if that sticks somewhere or that's gone once you click send, where you need to, certainly archive those photos, to that address, so you got them on your files.
yeah, and just we're getting a little sidetracked with a Tish conversation, but as long as you brought it up, I'll just say that we've allowed that for a long time. If somebody's got like a vacuum breaker, they got to put it on an outside faucet. I don't want to charge somebody $100 to come out to their house and go, yep, you put on a vacuum breaker. Give me my $100 and I'll sign off on it. I don't even feel good about taking money for that. I say,
don't take the money, but you always have to look at it. You can trust, but you have to verify. And you can go out there for free, but you got to trust and verify. But then it's those type of people that go out, and the guy's owned a house for 2 years. The water heater's 3 years old, and the relief pipe is still 25 inches off the floor, and it was signed off on. It was on the old Tish. So I don't want to get into that.
We're getting into the weeds with this. Well,
Yeah,
you and I can have lunch together. We'll chat about it.
My 2 cents worth is, geez, if you're listing a property in that city, maybe you ought to understand the guidelines that go with the programs. Just plain and simple.
Yeah.
So.
All right. I'm going to end the Facebook live stream now, and I'm going to shut off the recording on the other one, on the Zoom stream here. We'll